In a special CBS 21 Next today, we are talking about Governor Josh Shapiro's re-election campaign that kicks off today. He started in Pittsburgh and now he's heading to Philadelphia, where we find my co-anchor Joel D. Smith right now. So Joel D., what's happened so far? What's the plan for the rest of the night?
So he spoke in Pittsburgh earlier. He'll be in Philadelphia closer to 6 o'clock. So we'll have some coverage leading up to the event. Here he was in Pittsburgh earlier today. A couple of things that we're listening for in this, and we got a little hint about what he's going to say by tuning into the Pittsburgh event. But is he going to talk more about Pennsylvania things or United States things? And so, the criticism is if you're a Republican, and we've heard our own Charlie Giroux say this, when you have someone who's already been a governor, who we know probably has some bigger aspirations, what is their focus on job one? And job one is still being governor. Right. And in this case, trying to become governor again. So what will he say in terms of what I want to do for Pennsylvanians, what I want to do for Americans? So that's going to be a key. And maybe one of the hints here, I don't know, could just be a beautiful setup. But if you look behind him right here, that's the American flag. It is not the Pennsylvania flag. So, there's a little something to be said there, because you have a choice to make when you set these things up. I'm not faulting him for wanting to get the beautiful U.S. flag behind him, but, maybe that's a bit of a hint to some people that may want to point that out.
Yeah. Has he made any mention, or did he previously, that you heard of Stacey Garrity, the Republican candidate here for governor?
So not by name, but by inference, saying that, the other side is going to play some of the tricks they did last time. So last time he won handily. That was against State Senator Doug Mastriano, who just said he is not going to run this time for governor or lieutenant governor. Shapiro won handily by almost 800,000 votes. So they needed to do something different if they wanted to compete, it seems. Or maybe Shapiro just could have done something different. But either way, no. He basically tried to group Garrity, without saying her name, along with Shapiro's. They're going to say some of the same things, use some of the same tactics they used last time. That's what he said about the Republicans.
Interesting. Okay, so no true mention or digs at her personally.
Well, not in Pittsburgh. This is Philly.
Pittsburgh, right? Still to come, right? Yeah. The night is young. Did he speak when you're talking about nationally and stuff like that? We know we had the ICE situation where that woman was killed yesterday in Minnesota. And then we have some other big national stories going on. Any indication that he's going to go one way or the other? Or is this kind of wait and see right now?
Well, there was some broad there was some broad speech about, being together, not letting people tear us apart, find your neighbor who maybe voted a different way than you, bring them along, tell them why you're on our side now. The classic, I'm going to be a governor for all Pennsylvanians, not just the ones who voted for me. We've heard that before. So the key is when he said this is good for America or this is good for Pennsylvania, he mixed in some different words sometimes. Sometimes he was talking about America. Sometimes he was talking about Pennsylvania. So, that is something to consider. And he's got to walk that fine line, strategically. He is running for governor, but he will be, he is being eyed by the national media as well, and by the national Democratic, higher-ups who are looking for someone to run. And we know he was a finalist to become vice president last time. So it's not a surprise that he would be in the running to be a presidential candidate this time.
Certainly. We know earlier this week that he, with everything that happened with Governor Walz and the inspection of fraud in that state with the daycare system, he ended up saying, hey, Walz is my friend. I stand behind him as a friend. Do you think that that's going to hurt him in this race at all? Or do you think that's just people are going to forget about it moving forward as we get closer to election time?
You're right on both counts. So they will hold it against him for a little while. And then easily forget about it by the time the election comes around. Even the first election, which is what we're calling, 2026. It may be the only one for him. We'll see what happens in 2028. These cycles tend to go kind of long, but for now, this is what he's running for. So we'll take him at his word, and that's what he's going to do. I'm curious what his answer is going to be. It won't be today, but when asked, will you serve your term for what you're doing? This is an old tactic, okay? if you're going up against somebody who's running for one office, but you know they could be up for another one, you always try to pin him down. You say, hey, are you going to actually fulfill your promise of 4 years as governor? And then they have to wiggle around out of it and come up with a line like, this is what I'm running for now, blah, blah, blah. So, it's all been done before. This stuff is not new. But that's why it's curious, and we'll be listening for it. What is his messaging? Does it sound like he's talking to Pennsylvanians? Does it sound like he's talking to my fellow Americans? So that's the interesting part here. The backdrop is beautiful. You see, it says right there, Shapiro for governor, but the big American flag behind him. So, hey, it'll be tactically, I always kind of evaluate these things. What's the extra nonverbal message you're trying to send out? And that's what I think makes politics really interesting when you get into the strategy of it and the wording and all that too.
What are you saying without saying it, right? What do we expect as far as the crowd tonight? Is this just going to be a crowd of his supporters? Is this an invite-only event? What do we know about that?
I'm not positive about that, to be honest. Now, we did see there was a number of speakers, about 45 minutes of speakers before the governor talked for about 45 minutes in Pittsburgh. You'd think it might be the same for this event. Austin Davis, the lieutenant governor, spoke. There were some other people, locals for that area. I'm sure some locals for this area will step up as well. But it's not a huge venue, to be honest with you. So I would expect maybe 1,000 or so as I look across the parking lot here. It's not a huge place, but I'm not sure exactly. So we don't have a good feel for that. We will know that closer to 4 or 5 o'clock. We're allowed to start setting up soon. They'll do security sweeps and then get us back into the room after that. But we're expecting things to start around 6:30, and then he might not take the stage till after that.
Sure, with other speakers and stuff like that. Anything that you are, I know we've talked a little bit about what you're anticipating and stuff like that, but as you've covered other political re-elections, other political events, is there anything specific that stands out to you about this one in particular?
He was really successful last time, and, his approval rating is very good. And so what is he saying? Who is he trying to talk to? That's always who I'm looking at. And that's why I looked at the backdrop and whatever. And we'll see if it's the same here. It was an American flag there. I would imagine it'd be the same this time. So, are you talking to your same people? The analysts, the numbers would say that this is going to be a relatively easy campaign for him. I mean, Stacey Garrity has some different ideas on that. I respect her, and she does have some different things she's talking about. But if you believe the polls, this won't be that difficult for him. So how much does he focus on this race? He's got a lot of money, $30 million to put into this, more than Stacey Garrity, the Republicans, have at this point. Or is he sending a subtle message to what could be next for him as well? So he's got to toe that line one step at a time. Politics, you can't take anything for granted. But in this situation, it is kind of unique. He did talk more broadly at one point earlier about, as Americans, we're in the swing state. The swing state, you're not a swing state for governor. It's a swing state for the president or a swing state for the Congress. And so he mentioned that he really is looking forward to 26 for Congress as well. And historically, a great governor candidate can pull other candidates, with him to victory. So if it's a strong year for him, could be a strong year for other Democrats, which means flipping a couple vulnerable seats in Congress, which is already really close, obviously, right? He also said that he wants to make Pennsylvania a blue state when it comes to having a Congress in PA that is not divided, right? So right now the House is Democrat, the Senate barely Republican. He thinks he can snag a few spots, and then they could really do some things without being slowed down by the other side.
Yeah, interesting. All very interesting perspectives, and it's going to be fun to see what he says tonight, which way he kind of leans with his speeches and stuff like that.
So he's a great speaker. He's fun to listen to. He's a great speaker, and that's why listening to his words and I'm trying to figure out who is he talking to is part of the fun.
Yeah, like him or hate him, he is good at what he does as far as the public addresses that he makes. So that'll be interesting to listen to. We'll catch up with you tonight live in our shows, and then of course see you tonight at 10 and 11 afterwards. So appreciate your time as you guys get ready to head on in. Thanks for briefing us.
All right, Candace, see everybody later.
All right, see you soon. Bye. Thank you. And thank you guys for joining us. You can catch Joel D tonight on our 5 and 6 o'clock news, and then again at 10 and 11. We'll have a quick recap at 10 and 11 about what happens tonight in Philadelphia for Governor Josh Shapiro's kickoff of his re-election campaign for governor of PA. For now, that does it for us. I'm Candace Scalise. We'll see you next time.